The tech for this podcast was produced by Truth Digital. Truth Digital is the sister company to Cochrane & Co. We work in the same office, we drink the same coffee. We do websites, marketing, paid ads, social media, SEO, and all of the other things that will get you new business quickly and efficiently without the bullshit. Check us out, truthdigital.co.uk, or check us out on socials. All handles are Truth Digital. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you here again very soon. Right, Natalie, welcome to the UK Flooring Podcast. First question, who are you and what is important to you?
Who am I and what's important to me?
Yeah, big question. Both of them are.
Didn't even ease me in. You just gone right in down and you.
Under the bus.
I'm Natalie. I live in Wiltshire, and my company that I run with my husband is called Remington Flooring. What is important to me? Our family is probably the most important thing to me. Security, making sure that my family have a stable future, but also honesty, integrity, just doing an amazing job for people. Yeah, that's what it's all about for us.
And how did it start? I'm assuming you didn't leave school thinking I'm going to set up a flooring business with a man called Jeff, and that's going to be my career. How did it start, or where did your career start from school, and then how did you end up getting involved in flooring? Give us that bit, because I don't even know that properly.
Oh, Tom, it's a bit of a segue. I'm not going to lie.
It's fine. We all fall into these things.
My passion was theatre, drama and theatre.
Yeah.
So after school, I went to university and I studied English literature, theatre studies. I then trained to be a theatre designer, and that's what I did for 15 years.
Okay. What does a theatre designer do?
A costume designer.
All right, okay. So someone comes up with a play or a thing, and then you would design how it would look.
Exactly, yeah. So anything visual, from set, costume, props, mask, puppetry, all of it really. But then I also did a bit of producing and project management alongside. Led youth theatres. Just anything to do with performing arts, and that was my career pretty much from university up until now. Really, I still do a little bit, but funnily enough, don't have a whole lot of time for making plays at the moment. But there's still projects that kind of trickle along in the background. But when I had children, I found that working so intensively in theatre and film didn't perhaps lend itself to flexible working and family life. It's quite intense, when you've got a show on, you've got to be there. You've got to be there mentally and physically. Long days, you can't just be on a film set from 5 a.m. until midnight anymore. So I just sort of started, as many husband-wife partnerships do, and I think you'll probably see that in quite a lot of our contacts. Started out helping out a little bit with invoicing.
Yeah. And now how does that look now? Like, are you still just helping out, or are you?
Yeah, I'm still doing invoicing. But now I pretty much do everything else. So obviously Jeff is our amazing, Jeff and Sam are an amazing team on the ground. They do the majority of our installations. We have a few more guys that we work with when needed, but generally it's Jeff and Sam every day. And then behind the scenes, I'm, doing ordering, doing estimating, going out and seeing clients, taking samples, doing the bookkeeping, doing the marketing. So
Everything apart from fitting.
It's a lot.
Yeah. So we reverse back as well, just out of nosiness. What is the proudest moment of your theatre, your film, or what's the biggest production or film you were ever involved in, or what's the number one thing that is super memorable from that time that still is memorable?
Oh, thank you for asking. Nothing enormous, I wasn't working on the next, Lord of the Rings or anything like that. But in terms of small scale independent, we did some really, really cool independent films. I was trying to think of some names the other day. Can't remember much. And small scale independent films were really good fun. And in terms of theatre, I did a lot of, modern interpretations of Shakespeare, UK tour, small scale touring. So there's a lot of moments, but there's nothing that's really like the pinnacle of my career in that respect. It's just a lot of really amazing shows with a lot of amazing teams.
I love that. Love that. So one subject I wanted to get onto, which was a comment you made on LinkedIn, which I thought was world class. There was a certain person on LinkedIn that was talking about working Sundays and working 7 days a week. And as far as I'm concerned, it's a choice. Okay. So you can choose to work 40 hours. You can choose to work 20. You can choose to work 100. And a lot of people make this perception when you set this a business up, big, small, whatever, like with just 2 people or 20 people, it can take over your life. It can ruin your life. It can create the life that you want. And as far as I'm concerned, it's a choice. And a lot of people, it actually gets their back up when I tell them it's a choice. Like, it's not a choice. I've got to pay my bills. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. And what I wanted to discuss with you is your perception of, because I've been on both sides. I've done the 60-hour weeks. I've done the 80-hour weeks. I've worked away. I've brought one, let's say, child up not seeing me very much. And then I brought another child up that's seen me most days. So I'm on both sides of the fence, where at one point I felt it wasn't a choice to go out and smash every sort of pound note I could. And then I've also non-negotiably not worked weekends or not worked after 5 o'clock and actually earned more money. So that's, my perception. Yes, I'm money driven. Yes, I'm sales driven. But again, I could work 60 hours a week and earn more money, probably. But would I be happy doing so? Probably not. So the question is also, even if it's an installer or someone like yourself that does the behind the scenes stuff, how do you balance a successful business with children is the question. That was a long intro. But
that is an enormous question. And I know the comment that you're referring to on LinkedIn, and I'm glad you saw it, because I deleted it 3 times before I posted. And my initial comment was, if that's the price of success, then you can stick it up your ass. And then I decided I wanted to sound more professional. So I took out the stick it up your ass. But essentially, the implication by that person was like, if you want success, you have to be in the office on a Sunday. You have to be doing this. If you're not doing this, then you're not pushing forward enough. And what I think I've maybe learned quite well from you and Sarah as well is that you have to set your own boundaries, and you will only work as hard as you need to. Because you don't want to burn out, and life is about more than just work. And I think that's especially obvious when you have a family, and especially when you run a business as a family, is that I want my kids to see their dad, and yes, he works incredibly hard, and sometimes it's my fault because I've booked too much work in, or because something is you book as much work in as is physically possible, and then something runs over or something comes up. So yes, sometimes it's my fault. The days are too long, but I would never book them in for a Sunday. If they wanted to go in on a Sunday and get ahead on a project, that's their choice.
Yeah.
In a sense, obviously Sam is our employee, and we have a responsibility to give him the choice of whether he would want to work or not in those situations. But if Jeff, as the boss, wanted to go in and work on a Sunday, that's his choice. But I generally, we don't work Sundays. We generally don't work evenings unless it's like an out of hours project that we've agreed to, like a commercial job, where it needs to be done out of hours. Saturdays, again, I try to only book out 1 Saturday a month, if that. If a project runs over and we need to get in and finish something off, put on a couple of coats of lacquer, I think that's a bit different to you've got a really long, hard Saturday after a really long, hard week. That's, I don't know. I just think that's too much. So having said that, I work evenings. My children go to bed later and later, which is irritating because sometimes I need a couple of hours after they've gone to bed to get some quotes out that I haven't finished, or do a bit of admin, or there's something that needs to be finished. But what I'm trying to establish is boundaries where we don't work weekends, we don't work evenings. I try not to do a measure in an evening. If a client works full time and they can't do weekdays, I will bend a little bit and I might go and do an evening, but it doesn't happen very often. A lot of people work from home these days, or they work hybrid. So a lot of people will say, I'll work from home Wednesday. Could you come then? I am also trying to only do site visits on 2 days a week as well. So I'm trying to only do Tuesdays and Thursdays. That's primarily because otherwise I just end up with no admin time. So, I don't want people waiting ages for their quotes. I would rather have more time during the week to be working at the desk, and less days just out seeing people. But no, I do think it's massively important. And my dad used to work long hours, but he only worked Monday to Friday. He would be out from 7 until 7. He worked at Canary Wharf in London. So yeah, you didn't see a lot of him during the week. And obviously I'm very grateful for him working that hard for us.
Yep.
But
I think you've hit the nail on the head. It's about the boundaries that you set yourself and your family, no matter how big, small the business is. I agree that there is nothing wrong with working a Sunday. There's nothing wrong with working into the night, but doing it in a frame of panic that you've got to is the wrong place to come from. If it's again, if you have to work a Sunday, you can say, well, let's have a Friday off. If there's a really hard couple of weeks, you can say we're going to take a couple of days off, and it's about that balance that is the key thing for me. And then, even convincing yourself. I remember when we had the shops, and I would say, well, there's no point doing estimates during the day because everyone's at work. So I would come in, start the lads off at 7 in the morning, leave the house at 6:30, do a full day's work and start doing the estimates at 4 o'clock, and then get in at 8 o'clock because I assumed everyone would want the estimates done on a night. And then we set a standard or a benchmark that we no longer offer estimates on an evening at all. And we didn't lose any business. And then, as you said, there's that little bit of flex where someone says, look, I just can't get out of work. Right, well, we offer once a month a 8 o'clock appointment on a Saturday. So it doesn't affect at that point I was working 6 days anyway because I was working in the shop. That's another story. But I would do that 8 o'clock appointment. We've got this one here because you can't do during it. So we set the standard. We don't do after 5 o'clock. But if you do need one that's not Monday to Friday, there's a Saturday. This is Saturday it is. Still, no one ever said, that's not good enough. That's not. And then from that day, we changed it. But there's a lot of people in this sort of world of panic that working 18 hours a day. You navigate, you're dead. You can do it. You definitely can do it when needed. And me and Sarah do it. We would even tell clients do it when you need to turn it up. Have everything mentally and emotionally ready to turn it up, but then also be ready to turn it down and just to go again. Because just running at 300 mile an hour for long periods of time, you're going to end up in a box on a mental health ward, or just burning out and going in a complete circle and starting probably in a worse position than when you said, I'm just going to crack on. And some people are better than others, but I think if you can get that balance is the word, which is difficult. And I think if you understand it's difficult, then it becomes easy because it's getting that balance is never going to be easy. So we just accept it's not easy and do our best. And then also get children, family, involved in that process where, look, this is what's happening, but not an exchange. I sometimes would say in as an exchange, we're going to do this. One of my exchanges that I go on about is no phone holidays, because I know if I don't take my phone on holiday, I'm 100% present 100% of the time because I've got nothing else to look at, and that's by default. And I know if I have my phone and it goes off, I'll just read this email, or I'll just check what's happening on Facebook. And little things like that. And yet I love seeing people's faces where you say, don't take your phone on holiday, and they're like, that's like going on holiday with no legs. It's no, that's going on holiday and being focused on some downtime. Because when you come back, you'll have all these ideas and get on with your business. So I love that. So is there any tactics you can share of your non-negotiable that, apart from the ones you've said, is there any other ones for the listeners that you would say would be a great non-negotiable?
or just start your own business, because you can pick your kids up from school and no one can tell you not to, quite frankly. I mean, I know it's not quite that simple, but one of my eldest is 11, my youngest is 8, and one of us has picked them up from school every day since they started school. They have an after school club which goes until 4:15. They potentially they can do a breakfast club that goes from 7:45 until 8:30. So on the odd occasion that both of us are not available, there are options.
Yep.
But one of us has been there to pick them up, and I think that's brilliant.
But
I sort of go and do more work when I get home. I'm not going to lie. My laptop's weighing on the table, and there's quite a lot of mental pulling, I think, between the kids are home from school. It'd be nice to spend some time with them. Oh, but there's that thing I just needed to finish. My boundaries aren't that good. I'm still doing stuff when I've picked them up and taken them home. But I think being flexible enough to be able to pick them up at 3:15 pretty much every day, and maybe stand in the park for 40 minutes after school with a coffee, and then go home, and then you can carry on working if you want to. And I don't think you can get that flexibility if you're not self-employed. Employers are pretty good, aren't they, these days? There's a lot of flexible working. There's a lot of some stuff going on that's quite progressive. But essentially, yeah, be self-employed and you can pick your kids up from school. Holidays, I don't have to take holiday in the holidays because I can still work with them around. Admittedly, it gives me a massive headache because they're very loud and I can't concentrate, and it's not perfect, and I have to drag them on errands with me, which happens quite a lot. Like, oh, we've just had a pallet delivery at the warehouse and no one else is around. Get in the car, guys, we're going to go and unload it. But what that actually gives them, I think, and I think you find with your boys as well, is that they know so much about running a business. They've been there, they've seen it, they've helped out.
Yeah.
That's really benefited them. I think being able to see what mum and dad do and how hard they work also is beneficial to them, even if they're going to whinge because I'm dragging them around the countryside.
That's it. I'm looking here in our training centre, our big floor here. Me and my 6-year-old fitted this on a Saturday, strangely, but he did fit predominantly 80% of this with me, and he loved every minute of it. So and the same as you may have seen at the National Flooring Awards, William was the person bringing everyone, who's our 15-year-old, bringing everyone to the photograph booth and say, this is how it works, and unbelievable. It's great to get him involved. And really weird one with William, because I thought he would, because we started about 7 in the morning team meeting and then we finished at 12 at night, so it was a proper shift. And I said to Sarah, he's going to run out of steam at 3 o'clock and just lose interest. He's going to be like, I'm out. And he didn't. He just stayed 100% focused. And then at breakfast the next morning, he was like, he even said to us, he said, I'm so surprised. He said that was one of the best days of work or involvement I've ever been involved in. I've really enjoyed myself, and I'm looking at him going, well, who are you? But yeah, he hasn't. Hopefully we get him to do it again this year, but he hasn't done much else. But he did enjoy the full big shift at the National Flooring Awards. So it's
yeah, our boys, and we tend to only send them one at a time, but they loved going to work with Dad. They love it. Particularly my eldest, he's at a point now where he can go and do a full day. So if it is a Saturday job, he will go with them. He'll do a full day. I was filming harrying, but he's also using a carpet seamer. He's using a pinner. He's putting in pins. He's very practical. He's really good at, when you keep him on target, he's really good at taking instruction, and he's passionate. He loves working with his hand. He's practical.
how old is he?
He's 11. He's going to be 12 in August.
Wow. Yeah, it's
it's bad. Strong as well. Good at fetching and carrying.
Yeah, our boys are polar opposites, where William will be asking what the rate of pay is, and then do it with a little bit of whinging attached to it. And then, to give you an example, I was building creating a path. It's a bloody massive path that with granite cobbles and things like that. And I asked Theo to come out, not sit in his bedroom and play on his game. And he came out and he said, right, Dad, what needs doing? I said, right, we need to point up all of this cobble work. So I gave him a bucket of cement and a spreader, showed him what I wanted to do. Anyway, I let him go, and he was off he went for an hour, like doing this thing. And I came over and said, "I'll give you a hand." And he looked at me. He was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Well, I'll give you a hand." He went, "No, I'm going to finish what I've started. So if you wouldn't mind going doing it somewhere else." But no, not how much is it going to be? He was like a pig in shit, just spreading this cement out to firm these cobbles up. And no payment was required for that. And out the goodness of his heart, where the other one would have discussed hourly rate before we'd even looked at the bucket of cement.
He's just got an entrepreneurial brain. That's all.
Well, I don't know which one has more of an honour, but if one's doing it out of love and one's doing it out of cash. But anyway, so what is one thing no one knows about Remington Floors? These questions are going to get easier.
Is this an opportunity to plug something, or
No.
what are you thinking of?
I've got a list of questions that are standard podcast questions, and they are slightly under the bus. It's just what's one thing we wouldn't know about Remington Flooring?
Okay. One thing you won't know about Remington Flooring is that we're just about to start doing micro cementing.
Oh well,
I'm just going to chuck that out there as a little bit of a plug. We've just recently done some training with a system called Loba Style.
do you do it at KHR?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, Ben was telling me about this, so I was I was listening very avidly for my downstairs toilet.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Yeah, so Jeff and Sam went down and did some training. Absolutely loved it. Think there's a real gap in the market around here, and something we would really like to really push as part of our business. So that's new.
Love that. Yep.
So hopefully you'll see some more of that soon.
And how long's Jeff been on the tools? Can I know he's not always what's the word, like social facing or some of the events we do. It's he does certain things. If there's a beer involved, he's there. But it's but what's Jeff's backstory, if you don't mind me asking?
Drink. What type of Coca-Cola's in back?
Coca-Cola. No, it's not if there's a food or meal he's there.
Yeah, so Jeff's been on the tools for I think 28 years.
Wow. Yeah.
So he's 46 and he pretty much started when he was 17. Left school, did some kind of training apprenticeship, with local businesses, and has been doing it ever since. So yeah, apart from there might have been a couple of other kind of jobs in between, but pretty much it's been flooring since he left school. He used to do a bit of subcontracting or mainly subcontracting, but probably for the last 6 or 7 years we've been really focusing on just doing our own work from start to finish, from quoting to completion, doing all our own supply. That's probably been sort of 3 or 4 years. Obviously, getting some suppliers that we really that we know and trust. Make sure we've got products that we know and trust. He's not done any subcontracting probably now for 6 years. But yeah, flooring his whole life really.
Well, love that. And then completely off subject. A couple of years ago, Jeff did our make or break course. So we sent Jeff home with 2 black eyes. And obviously we can't talk about what happens or whatever, but the black and white, if it's pardon the pun. We sent Jeff back home to you and the kids with completely 2 black eyes. And then, I don't know what it was, 18 months later, was it something of that realms? You then signed up to the same course. What was going through your mind with that? And what can you tell us? You know the rules, but what can you tell us about that course? And what do you think Jeff got from it? But then also, more importantly, what did you get from it?
What do I think Jeff got from it?
Apart from
Jeff was an extremely confident person. So he's not the sort of person who I would say, you need something like this to build your confidence. But what I think maybe it did do was maybe, I wouldn't say it even sort of proved to himself what he could do, because like I say, he's a sort of person that he sees something, and if he wants to try it, he'll just go for it and he'll try it out. He's very, very confident. But from maybe what he got from it, I know he really relished the teamwork and camaraderie, the working together with that amazing group of guys that he was on there with, most of whom I think he's still in touch with. So I think he found it fun. I think he did find it challenging. But one of the things he said to me before I went, when I was obviously feeling a little bit nervous, this is so March this year, whereas I think he went in March 2024.
Yeah. Yeah.
So one of the things he said to me was, there's nothing that I did that you couldn't do. So that kind of gave me confidence. I mean, I didn't believe him, obviously. I thought to myself, you literally have no idea how much of a wuss I am. He thinks that I'm a badass because I've given birth to 3 children and because I do stuff that scares me, and generally that's everything. But I generally push through and do it, and I learn stuff, and I don't mind going out and doing stuff that is out of my comfort zone. But at the same time, I was obviously quite anxious about. I have quite high anxiety anyway. I do worry about stuff before I go and do it, and I do ruminate on, I like to sort of visualize what's going to happen before I get there. Whereas in the case of Make or Break, I literally had no idea. I had a few ideas. I had an inkling that some being punched in the face might feature, obviously, because of Jeff's black eyes. But I really didn't know what to expect. And that's the sort of thing that makes me nervous, is not being able to visualize perhaps what is in my immediate future. But what I suppose what I got out of it, apart from
You avoided black eyes. Yeah.
I didn't even get any black eyes, but was punched in the face repeatedly.
Really selling this to people, yeah. Pay this money and just get punched in the face. No one likes being punched in the face. No one. I don't get. No,
to make it clear, although I can't say much, there was face protection. It wasn't like getting punched in the face with no face protection,
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a bit of pummeling. But I think what I got out of it was that like stuff is fun. And I think when you start parenting, and a lot of your focus is around your children and making sure that they do fun stuff, and making sure you're there to support them and what they want to do. I think sometimes you lose that sense of self where you do things just for you. So realizing that I can do fun stuff just for me, I think that was actually really important for me. And I've since done not anything that dramatic, but a few things that I thought, that would be fun. I would sign up and do that. I would go and do that. I would go and do that. I'm not scared to do that. I'm just gonna do it. Going on the podcast, Tom, because don't forget that when Jeff was on the podcast, he wanted me to do it, and I said, absolutely no way in hell I'm doing that. I was literally crying, and I wouldn't do it.
And here you are, straight out.
Here we are. So in that respect, things have changed a little bit since then.
I think that's the biggest thing, and that's the biggest thing I learned with when I did a similar course in makeup. Right? There's certain big things that were holding me back. I mean, it's been even the dentist, needles, heights, really strange things that I just couldn't get my head round doing at all. And people don't like to admit they don't want to do. So, they're like, oh, that's not me. It's not what I would do. And that is most of the time, it's just self-talk. And I think that's what, obviously you'd made some comments you wouldn't do a podcast, you wouldn't do this. And that's what Make or Break kind of does. It opens that door to you think, well, I've done this and I can do that. Suddenly a podcast or seeing a customer or dealing with conflict or, going to approach a difficult conversation suddenly becomes easier. So it's moving that standard of where you kind of live to a different position. And yes, we do it in a structured, savage way in some ways, but that's the way to break through those barriers. If we just tickled it, we'd only get tickled results. So, and that's, but again, and I think what it showed, we I'm trying to describe it the best without giving anything away. We've had marathon runners, we've had, really confident people. We've had people with low self-esteem. We've had older people, younger people, and we haven't had an ideal client, because it's really strange that some of the people that you think are absolute powerhouses fall down or even really struggle. It's not about quitting, but then some people are very quiet and reserved. Some things will really push their buttons that are just so tiny, and then the big things are just knocked it out the park, which is, I think, some of the things that you were doing and some of the other girls, you're like, us as instructors, we've got to kind of do a due diligence of going, like, who's going to have a wobble here? Who's going to really throw something at us? And it's normally not the person you expect, which is it's really funny for us not funny, wrong word, interesting for us as instructors, because we've got to try and second guess it. But every time we second guess, we're wrong. So it's very difficult for us. But we've got a duty of care to be safe and to do things like that. But we've also got to know when to really push and say, look, we're all doing it. But I think what does help, as Jeff found out, doing it as a group, massively makes a significant difference, because everyone's there in the same boat. It's normally when you're there on your own, you don't do it. You don't believe in yourself. I've just done the same with acupuncture, where if you'd asked me 6 months ago, never mind 6 years ago, 6 months ago, would I go for acupuncture? Unless it was a life or death situation, the answer would be no. I couldn't think of anything worse of someone sticking needles in us, and it sounds like it might be relaxing. But I've now been for acupuncture. When they put the needles in, I didn't particularly enjoy it. I was a bit sweaty palmed. But then when he put them in and left them, I was like on a beach in Menorca. It was unbelievable. I was like, what was I worrying about? Like, and even though I'm relatively over needles, but it's the same thing, and that can be in business, personal, or whatever. And you just got to turn up, get out the car, and trust a professional normally. But yeah, I've found the same with that. So I'm still learning now. Back in for acupuncture next Monday, and I'm half excited for it now, and half still thinking I still don't want him to stick needles in us, but it's part of the course. So it's love that. I thought we can't really deep dive any more. Strangely as well, it might be a no, but it has happened. Did your children, either from Jeff's visit or your visit, mention any differences at all when you've come back from that course? Just out of interest. Or have they not noticed? Are they oblivious?
I don't think, I think the only reason they acknowledged any difference is because while I'm gone, their dad has been bigging me up. So, he's been like, Mum's off doing this, Mum's off doing that, don't forget when Mum comes back, she's going to be really tired because she's done, obviously without going into too much detail, just kind of saying like, your mum's been really brave.
Yeah.
And I think then they're like, Mum's really brave.
Yeah.
And I think that's not that they didn't think I was before, but they see you doing stuff, and then I'm not saying they're going to emulate it, but that sense of bravery, and I can do hard things because that's what I see, and that's my role models. They're also doing hard things. So I don't think they necessarily would have noticed, but
no.
Yeah.
No, I love it. What is, either in flooring or in theatre or films, the best bit of advice, life advice, you've ever received that you still bar now?
Oh, sorry, that was a really big pause. I hope you can edit that out.
No. Tell you these questions are straight in, like, doosh.
Yeah. In life, does it have to be in work, or can it be in life?
It can be in life. It's just the best bit of advice you've ever received.
Full stop. The best bit of life advice I have ever received, and it was quite recent, was when things are tough, to tell yourself that these are the good days.
Hazel.
And when you look back on it, you'll go, even when it was horrendous. I mean, I use the example of like when my dad was really sick. I still look back and I go, those were the good days, because we were there and we were present and we were being mindful and we were absorbing that experience, and it's an experience you're never gonna have ever again. So yeah, just telling yourself when things are really hard, whether it's with kids or with work or with family or, anything, that these are the good days.
Yeah. I think that's important with the message we touched on before as well, about these people burning the candle at both ends consistently. And and then it gets too late. Like normally they only break when something breaks. Like a marriage breaks up, or someone dies, or someone becomes ill, and then it's we're now going to change. Well, we could have changed 2 years ago. It's a choice. So I love that. No, I love that. And apart from micro cement, what's next for Remington Floors? What is there anything else on the goals list, or anything else that what is the next benchmark?
We've really been working hard on developing the sanding side of our business, so sanding and refinishing. So over the last 3 years, we've had some really good training from Legler and KHR. We've got a Hummel, a Trio, and a Flip now. So we've got like the golden triangle of amazing sanding machines. So yeah, just really kind of just promoting our sanding business. We've done some amazing jobs over the past 2 years. So really kind of just growing that. Again, there's not that many people who do sanding and refinishing around our area. There's a few in Bristol. There's probably a couple in Bath. But yeah, so really kind of growing and promoting our sanding. We're hoping to get another apprentice. So that's something we're sort of talking about at the moment, recruitment, and what path to take. So Sam trained through Floor Skills on the 2-year apprenticeship, which was on site in Solihull, obviously, as well as being full-time here on the job. So it's whether we want to do that again, or whether we want to do something a little bit more remote. So I've been looking at kind of like remote learning options for flooring apprentices. So just very slowly growing our team, really, and at the same time honing our skills to just do the best we can. Just grow.
Well.
Take over Wiltshire, basically.
Yeah. I love it. And last question, what flooring do you have fitted at home, and was it left off a job?
You know it, don't you? Yes, of course it was. I've got a stair carpet that was left off a job.
Yeah.
I've got a herringbone engineered oak in my hallway that was left off a job. They have since sanded and refinished it twice, and it's lovely. Yeah. Engineered oak in the diner and lounge. Carpets upstairs, they were left off a job. Yeah, so pretty much, Tom. Yes,
the standard flooring contractor's house. Yeah, everything left off. This look lovely in our houses. Yeah.
Before we had the engineered oak downstairs, actually, we did sand and refinish our original 1920s pine floors, which actually did look really nice. But then we had a lot of engineered oak that we needed to put down somewhere, so we covered it over.
I did a few more meters onto the
hard floors downstairs always.
Yeah, and fluffy stuff upstairs.
Although oak on the landing.
Oh, you got oak on the landing.
Bedrooms. LVT in the bath, a half finished bathroom.
Has that been unfinished for a long time? Has that been on Jeff's to-do list, or is that?
I'm not saying anything about that.
Is that the thing that comes up in arguments? And that bathroom's still not done?
No, of course not. We don't ever argue, Tom.
Love that. Where can the listeners find you? What's your social handles, websites? Where can people find you lurking?
remingtonflooring.co.uk. Not on Twitter. That's not even knowing anymore, is it? Instagram, we're just at Remington Flooring. I believe on Facebook it's Remington Flooring UK. I am on LinkedIn, and so is Remington Flooring. I'm not very good at it, but you're very welcome to add me. I'm Natalie Remington. I think that's it.
I love it. Well, thank you for spending this time on the podcast. Really enjoyed this one. Thank you, Nat.
Thank you for inviting me.
Cheers. Stop.
Recording stop.
There we go. That wasn't that bad. The sponsor for this show is us. Is Cockrell & Co. What do Cockrell & Co do? Well, we help flooring shops, retailers, contractors, wholesalers, and anyone connected to the flooring industry spend more time doing productive things, putting systems and processes in place, making more bottom line profit, and running their business much more efficiently than they ever thought was possible. We run training courses, we have a community of nearly 100 people, and this podcast here. So if you want to know more about what we do, the best place to find us is either on socials, Cockrell & Co, or the website, which is cockrellandco.co.uk. We'd love to speak to you about how your business is going, what your plans are, and how you would love to grow and mature that over time. There is no cost to have a conversation with us on Zoom or on the telephone. We now have a fantastic senior leadership team who can help you with 99.9% problems, and if we can't help you, we will find someone that can. So no matter what flooring business you've got, what help you would need, you just need to ask. That is all. So without the corporate waffle, without the bloke in the shiny suit, but someone that wants to make more money and spend time doing things that you love, we would love to hear from you. Again, visit cockrellandco.co.uk and send us a message, or find us on LinkedIn, TikTok, Facebook and Instagram.